The air shimmered with an exquisite sense of anticipation, a vibrant tapestry woven from countless dreams. Soft orchestral melodies drifted through the grand ballroom, enveloping everyone in a warm embrace of shared joy. It was the epitome of a perfect day, a celebration of love, commitment, and the promise of a future brimming with happiness. She stood beside her beloved, their hands poised gracefully over the magnificent wedding cake, a masterpiece of frosted artistry, ready to perform the symbolic first cut. This was the moment, the culmination of months of meticulous planning and years of budding affection, where their two lives were officially meant to merge into one. A feeling of profound peace settled over her as she looked into his eyes, seeing the reflection of their shared future, seemingly boundless in its potential for prosperity and enduring connection. The entire room seemed to hold its breath, savoring the sweetness of the occasion, a silent testament to the wealth of good wishes surrounding them. Then, piercing through the delicate harmony of strings and the quiet murmur of happy guests, a voice, unmistakably her mother's, rang out with startling clarity. It wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable weight, cutting through the festive atmosphere like a sharpened blade. Every head in the room swiveled, every conversation died, and the joyous sounds instantly ceased. A collective gasp rippled through the stunned attendees. The words, delivered with a chilling certainty, hung in the sudden, deafening silence. "This marriage is a mistake." The declaration struck her like a physical blow, freezing her mid-action, the knife hovering above the cake. Her heart pounded against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of disbelief. The world, which moments before had been bathed in the golden glow of contentment, suddenly tilted on its axis, plunged into an abyss of confusion and despair. What hidden truths could possibly justify such a shocking pronouncement on a day meant for nothing but pure joy and unadulterated happiness? The unfolding narrative of this perplexing event, and the profound wisdom that would eventually emerge from its tumultuous depths, beckoned for a deeper understanding. To grasp the full scope of this extraordinary tale and its unexpected resolution, one needed to journey beyond this jarring beginning. The grand reception hall, moments ago vibrant with celebratory joy and soft orchestral melodies, abruptly plunged into a profound, suffocating silence. This stillness seemed to drain all sound, extinguishing last vestiges of happy laughter and cheerful clinking of glasses. A collective gasp rippled through stunned guests, quickly followed by a low, urgent murmur of confused whispers spreading like wildfire. Every eye, wide with disbelief, fixed on the central tableau, the bridal couple, the half-cut cake, and the mother whose words had shattered their perfect day. What was intended as the pinnacle of pure happiness was brutally interrupted, leaving jarring emptiness. The atmosphere, once bright with promise, curdled into palpable tension, pressing down on everyone. This was no anticipated trajectory towards marital bliss or shared wealth, but a sudden, terrifying plunge into bewildering uncertainty, gripping every heart. The protagonist's mother remained frozen by the ornate wedding cake, a figure of stark contrast against white lace. Her face, usually radiating warmth, was now a shocking ashen pale, as if all life had drained. Raw vulnerability etched her features, a subtle tremor running through her frame, yet beneath this fragility an unyielding, fierce resolve hardened her gaze. She seemed as stunned by her own words as any guest, a testament to her unfiltered outburst. Nevertheless, her stance, despite visible shock, remained firm, signaling unwavering conviction in her devastating truth. It was chillingly clear this was no act of malice, but a desperate, painful plea born from deep maternal concern. A plea driven by what she profoundly believed to be essential wisdom, a protective instinct demanding to be heard, regardless of the immediate public cost. Beside the protagonist, her fiancé stood utterly motionless, the gleaming silver cake knife poised awkwardly, a poignant symbol of the moment irrevocably fractured. His initial shock swiftly receded, replaced by profound hurt and overwhelming bewilderment. His eyes, moments earlier shining with unadulterated happiness and eager anticipation of a future brimming with shared experiences and potential for mutual wealth, were now clouded. They filled with a desperate, silent plea for understanding, searching for any flicker of explanation. He turned slowly towards the mother, his shoulders visibly slumping under the immense, unexpected weight of her words. He desperately yearned for immediate explanation, struggling to comprehend the hidden motives behind such a devastating public pronouncement. He was not just shaken, he was utterly lost, grappling with the disorienting shift from matrimonial bliss to an inexplicable, deeply personal crisis, desperate to bridge the chasm that had just opened beneath their hopeful, shared future. The dream of enduring joy and future stability seemed to teeter precariously on the brink of collapse, leaving everyone holding their breath for the next agonizing moment, yearning for clarity that felt impossibly distant. Away from the curious glances and the lingering echoes of shocked silence, a quiet, secluded room became the reluctant stage for an unimaginable confrontation. The air, thick with unspoken questions, seemed to press down on everyone present, particularly on the bride, whose mind reeled from the public declaration. Her mother, her face still etched with a mix of pallor and steely resolve, finally began to speak. Her voice, though softer now, carried an undeniable weight, each word landing with the force of a hammer blow. It was not, she clarified, a lack of affection or a doubt about her daughter's heart that fueled her desperate outburst. She wasn't questioning the love that blossomed between the young couple, nor the dreams of shared happiness they had so carefully cultivated. Instead, her concerns delved far deeper, touching upon the very foundations of character and the hidden currents of past decisions made by the groom. The bride listened, a cold dread seeping into her veins as her mother meticulously unfolded a narrative previously concealed. These were not minor indiscretions, but profound issues that, in her mother's experienced view, threatened the very fabric of the future her daughter envisioned. There was a palpable sense of a protective mother attempting to share a harsh form of wisdom, an unwelcome truth designed to avert potential sorrow. Details emerged, shrouded in a veil of carefully chosen words that hinted at significant challenges. These revelations painted a different picture of the groom, one that contradicted the joyful facade of the wedding day. The mother spoke not of a current failing, but of a pattern, a history of choices and actions that raised serious red flags. She articulated a fear that these elements from his past, if left unaddressed, could irrevocably compromise their shared life, potentially eroding the foundation of financial stability and future wealth. Each new piece of information chipped away at the bride's sense of certainty, replacing it with a gnawing uncertainty. The vibrant colors of her wedding day began to fade into muted shades of gray. The promise of a life filled with uncomplicated joy seemed suddenly precarious. She struggled to reconcile the man she loved, who had just stood beside her at the altar, with the shadowy figure described by her mother. The details, though still somewhat vague in their specifics, were devastating in their implications. A profound shock settled over her, chilling her to the bone. Doubt, a venomous serpent, began to coil around her heart, whispering insidious questions about the true nature of her beloved and the true prospects for their collective happiness. Her mother's words, intended as a shield, felt like a sword, severing the idyllic image of her perfect day and leaving her adrift in a sea of confusion. The magnitude of the revelation, so stark and unexpected, left her reeling, unsure of what to believe or how to proceed. The devastated groom stood before her, his usual confident demeanor shattered by the unexpected words spoken just moments ago. His eyes, usually bright with shared joy, now held a deep sadness, a reflection of the turmoil that had suddenly engulfed their perfect day. He watched her, a silent plea in his gaze, as if trying to convey the depth of his feelings without uttering a single sound. When he finally spoke, his voice was hushed, yet filled with an undeniable passion, resonating with every fiber of his being. He reiterated his unwavering love for her, a love that he believed was the cornerstone of their entire relationship, the very foundation upon which they were building their future. He spoke of the countless moments of happiness they had shared, the laughter, the quiet understanding, the dreams they had meticulously planned together, all of which now seemed to hang precariously in the balance. He then addressed the accusations, or rather the concerns, with a mixture of pain and earnestness. He acknowledged that there might have been missteps in his past, decisions that in hindsight might appear questionable or even reckless. He admitted that life had presented its challenges, and like anyone, he had learned lessons the hard way. However, he adamantly stressed that those past experiences did not define the man he was today, nor did they reflect the husband he intended to be. He promised that the fears expressed by her mother were either based on misunderstandings or on old chapters of his life that he had long since closed and learned from with newfound wisdom. He insisted that he had grown immensely, matured, and was now fully committed to a life of stability and responsibility. He wasn't the same person who had made those errors. He had evolved, driven by the profound desire to be worthy of her. His defense wasn't an act of defiance, but a heartfelt appeal for understanding and belief. He laid bare his soul, revealing his vulnerabilities while simultaneously reaffirming his strength and his unyielding dedication to their shared future. He painted a picture of a future filled with genuine joy, a life built on mutual respect and unwavering support. He spoke of building a true wealth of experiences together, not just material possessions, but a richness of connection and shared purpose. He implored her to see beyond the shadow cast by past events, to look into his eyes and recognize the sincerity of his heart. More than anything, he asked for her trust, that precious commodity that was now being tested so severely. He knew that without her unwavering belief in him, their journey forward would be impossible. He desperately sought to calm the rising tide of doubt, to reassure her that their happiness was his utmost priority, and that he would devote his life to ensuring her well-being and security. The air crackled with his sincerity, a desperate attempt to salvage the most important day of their lives and reaffirm the enduring power of their love amidst the unexpected storm. He yearned for her to understand that his commitment was absolute, his promises genuine, and his vision for their life together was one of profound and lasting contentment. She found herself trapped in an unbearable dilemma, agonizingly torn between the man she loved and her mother, who always nurtured her path to happiness. The sudden jolt shattered the wedding's perfect facade, replacing celebration with an internal storm mirroring the room's shocked silence. Her heart, once swelling with joy, now contracted with chilling doubt. Was love, in its purest form, potent enough to completely overpower the unsettling shadows cast by his past? This agonizing question consumed her. This was no trivial concern, but a seismic challenge to her envisioned future's foundation. Her mother, a woman of quiet wisdom and practical foresight, always emphasized that true wealth encompassed more than just material prosperity. It included peace of mind from a partner's integrity and responsible choices. The conflict was sharp. Her passionate emotional connection clashed with unsettling truths revealed by her protective mother. Every instinct urged her to dismiss these concerns, to wholeheartedly believe in his transformation. Yet the specific details, accounts of financial missteps and broken promises, reverberated with an authenticity she found impossible to ignore. The radiant future, once overflowing with shared dreams and a lifetime of happiness, now appeared hazy, shrouded in uncertainty. She questioned commitment's essence, pondering if it demanded a spotless past or a clearly demonstrated overcoming of prior issues. The pursuit of genuine joy became complex, intertwined with uncomfortable past realities. Could deep love bridge these fractures, building a future not just on emotion, but on an unshakable bedrock of trust and stability? The immense weight of this decision and the urgent quest for clarity and enduring wisdom pressed heavily upon her. The initial shock had subsided, replaced by a heavy, anxious atmosphere. The protagonist and her fiancé knew they couldn't ignore the mother's dramatic pronouncement. They demanded absolute clarity. They required specific reasons, a deeper understanding of what had driven her to such an extreme public statement. With heavy hearts, they approached the mother again, this time in a private setting, far from the venue's recent chaos. The silence was palpable, charged with unspoken questions and a lingering sense of betrayal. Her fiancé, though deeply hurt, also yearned for answers, hoping to dismantle any misconceptions. The mother, looking weary and pained, eventually yielded to their persistent pleas for precise details. Her voice, usually firm, was now laced with profound sadness as she began to recount a series of incidents from the fiancé's past. She clarified she wasn't speaking from malice, but from deep concern for her daughter's future happiness and well-being. She spoke of financial ventures that had gone disastrously wrong, not merely due to bad luck, but from what she perceived as alarming lack of judgment and irresponsible decision-making. She detailed instances where significant sums had been squandered and promises made even to family had been casually broken. These weren't isolated events, she explained, but a deeply worrying pattern. She elaborated on situations where the fiancé had, in her view, prioritized fleeting desires over long-term stability, demonstrating a disregard for building a secure future. Her concerns weren't about their love, which she acknowledged, but about the crucial pillars of a successful partnership: reliability, responsibility, and financial prudence. She feared that a future built on such shaky foundations, where wealth and security were treated lightly, could never truly bring lasting joy or the stable happiness she desired for her child. Her wisdom, accumulated over years, told her true peace stemmed from a secure base, not just passion. She concluded that these past actions, indicative of immaturity, painted a picture of someone ill-equipped to provide the consistency required for a stable marriage, especially for her daughter, who deserved a life free from financial anxieties and broken trusts. The revelation hung heavy, transforming abstract fear into concrete, unsettling facts. The truth, once whispered and hinted at, now burst forth in full, undeniable clarity. The specific incidents detailed by her mother regarding the fiancé's past, particularly his irresponsible financial decisions and broken promises, were laid bare for all to confront. The atmosphere, already thick with unspoken anxieties, ignited into a painful and deeply uncomfortable confrontation. It was not merely a disagreement, it was an explosion of raw emotion, fueled by years of underlying worry and disappointment. Old wounds, long thought to be healed or at least dormant, were violently reopened, bleeding fresh resentment and fear into the present moment. The fiancé, confronted with these precise accusations, reacted with a mixture of defensiveness and profound hurt, feeling his character and intentions were being unjustly scrutinized. Her mother, resolute in her convictions, reiterated her long-standing concerns, her voice tinged with the sadness of past betrayals and the fervent desire to protect her daughter from similar pain. She found herself undeniably trapped in the epicenter of this emotional maelstrom. The air crackled with the sharp edges of accusation and the heavy weight of sorrow. Her heart ached, torn between the man she loved so deeply and the woman who had always been her most steadfast protector. Every word exchanged, every accusation hurled, reverberated through her, shaking the very foundations of her perceived future happiness. The idea of a stable future, of shared wealth and easy joy, seemed to crumble around her as the harsh realities of the past were excavated. She desperately tried to process the torrent of information, her mind racing, attempting to make sense of the conflicting narratives. Was the love she felt strong enough to build a new foundation, or was prudence, as her mother insisted, the truer guide to a secure and lasting union? She yearned for wisdom, for some clear path through this bewildering and heartbreaking dilemma. The weight of potential future struggles, shadowed by past mistakes, pressed down upon her, making the clarity she so desperately sought feel almost impossible to attain. This painful disclosure forced her to confront the profound uncertainty of her present choice, raising fundamental questions about trust, forgiveness, and the true cost of moving forward. The world around her felt like a cacophony of accusations and defenses, leaving the protagonist mentally and emotionally drained. The continuous arguments, the resurfacing of old wounds, and the unyielding tension had blurred her vision, making it impossible to see a clear path forward. She desperately needed an unbiased ear, a voice of reason that could cut through the emotional fog. It was in this state of profound uncertainty that her thoughts turned to her wise aunt, a woman known for her tranquil spirit and profound understanding of human nature. This aunt had always been a beacon of calm, a repository of life's subtle truths, and the protagonist instinctively knew that her counsel would be invaluable in this trying time. Seeking out her aunt, the protagonist found herself enveloped in an atmosphere of quiet understanding. There were no immediate questions or demands for details, just a comforting presence that invited openness and solace. The aunt listened patiently, her eyes reflecting a deep empathy that transcended judgment, creating a safe space for vulnerability. She allowed the protagonist to unburden her heart, to express the confusion, the fear, and the love that warred within her, a turbulent mix of emotions that had become overwhelming. The aunt's approach was not to offer quick solutions or to validate one side over another. Instead, she gently guided the protagonist towards introspection, encouraging her to explore her own feelings and priorities without external pressure or preconceived notions. She spoke softly of the many facets of a happy and fulfilling life, suggesting that true wealth extended beyond material possessions, encompassing emotional security, shared values, and mutual respect, which were the cornerstones of a stable future. The aunt emphasized the importance of distinguishing between past mistakes and genuine character flaws, and the inherent human capacity for growth and transformation, offering a ray of hope. Her wisdom lay in helping the protagonist untangle the intricate web of emotions and information, prompting her to consider what constituted a truly joyous union, one built on a foundation of trust and understanding. She encouraged the protagonist to look beyond the immediate pain and external judgments, urging her to reconnect with her own inner compass, her deepest desires for a life partner. The conversation wasn't about finding fault or assigning blame. It was about seeking clarity and understanding the underlying motivations of everyone involved, including herself. The aunt's calm demeanor helped to steady the protagonist's tumultuous emotions, allowing her to gain a much-needed perspective on the crisis. Through their gentle discourse, the protagonist began to understand that navigating such complex situations required not just love, but also a significant degree of self-awareness and a willingness to confront difficult truths with courage. The aunt's words did not provide an easy answer, but they illuminated the path for the protagonist to embark on a deep, personal reflection, empowering her to face the next steps with a clearer mind and a renewed sense of purpose. This precious conversation laid the groundwork for a more profound consideration of her future, fostering a quiet hope amidst the turmoil, reminding her that genuine happiness was achievable through careful choices and unwavering integrity. The weight of the preceding days pressed down on her with an unbearable force. What began as a joyous celebration had transformed into a crucible of doubt and public scrutiny. The gravity of her mother's pronouncement, echoing still in the grand hall of her memory, had forced her to confront a reality far harsher than any she had ever imagined. The thought, once unthinkable, now loomed large and inescapable, the possibility of postponing or even outright canceling the wedding. This was not merely a private heartbreak, it was a public spectacle, a potential source of immense shame that would ripple through their families and social circles. The meticulous planning, the shared dreams, the excitement that had built over months, all of it threatened to collapse into a void of embarrassment and regret. She grappled with the enormity of such a decision. To call off a wedding, particularly at such a late stage, was to invite a cascade of questions, judgment, and whispered rumors. The dream of a future filled with shared happiness and stability, perhaps even a comfortable wealth, seemed to dissipate under the dark clouds of uncertainty. How could she face everyone? How could she explain the sudden unraveling of what had appeared to be a perfect union? The personal pain that gnawed at her was immense, a deep, aching wound far beyond the superficial embarrassment. It was the pain of a love questioned, a future shattered, and a trust potentially misplaced. Every fiber of her being resisted the idea, yet the logical part of her mind, now guided by a newfound, albeit painful, wisdom gleaned from her mother's revelations and her aunt's quiet counsel, urged her to consider the consequences of proceeding blindly. The pressure was overwhelming, a relentless vice squeezing her spirit. It came from all directions: the expectations of family, the unspoken judgments of friends, the financial implications of vendors and deposits, and most acutely, the desperate hope that everything could still be salvaged. But beneath it all, the uncertainty corroded her soul, leaving her feeling hollow and adrift. Could true joy ever bloom from such contested ground? Was the pursuit of happiness worth sacrificing peace of mind and financial security? She longed for clarity, for a path forward that didn't involve such a profound and public unraveling. The decision felt like tearing a piece of her own heart away, but the alternative, marrying with such profound doubts, felt even more terrifying. The joyous anticipation of her big day had been replaced by a suffocating dread, and she knew with a heavy heart that she stood at a pivotal crossroads where every choice carried an unbearable weight. He fully grasped the gravity of the situation, the deep uncertainty that permeated every aspect of their lives since the wedding day disruption. The thought of delaying or canceling the ceremony, a decision laden with public embarrassment and profound personal pain, weighed heavily on him. He recognized that his past actions, the very issues his future mother-in-law had so bravely highlighted, were the root cause of this agonizing dilemma. There was no room for denial or simplistic apologies now. What was needed was a tangible, undeniable demonstration of his growth and his sincere commitment to building a stable, reliable future. He understood that her faith and the family's hinged entirely on his ability to prove his transformation. Driven by an unwavering determination to reconcile and secure their future, he embarked on a painstaking process of self-assessment and practical planning. He wasn't merely attempting to smooth things over. He was genuinely committed to addressing the very core of the concerns raised. This involved a meticulous review of his financial history, confronting every past oversight and irresponsible decision head-on. He spent countless hours organizing his affairs, consulting with trusted financial advisors, and absorbing their wisdom to formulate a clear path forward. This rigorous approach was a stark contrast to his past habits, reflecting a profound shift in his approach to personal accountability and long-term security. He then presented a meticulously detailed and concrete plan designed to resolve all outstanding financial issues and establish a robust foundation for their shared life. This wasn't a vague promise but a comprehensive blueprint: specific steps for debt eradication, a disciplined budget for all future expenditures, and a structured savings strategy. He outlined clear income generation proposals, demonstrating a proactive stance towards increasing their collective wealth and ensuring future stability. The plan was not just about fixing past mistakes, it was about building a secure, prosperous future, allowing for genuine happiness and joy in their shared journey. His presentation was marked by a newfound humility and an earnest transparency, devoid of defensiveness, as he laid bare his intentions and outlined the disciplined steps he would take. This decisive effort to prove his maturity and responsibility, backed by a solid, actionable plan, represented a critical turning point, aiming to restore the lost confidence and reaffirm his profound dedication to their life together. After days that blurred into an exhausting sequence of intensely honest and often profoundly painful conversations, a pivotal shift finally emerged within the strained family dynamics. The air, once thick with tension and raw emotion, began to clear as they collectively sought genuine reconciliation. The protagonist, her mother, and her fiancé had tirelessly navigated the complex labyrinth of past errors and present anxieties, each confronting their vulnerabilities and deeply held beliefs. This arduous process, though emotionally draining, was crucial, stripping away layers of pretense and forcing a deep examination of trust and commitment, fostering collective wisdom. They understood that only through such profound honesty could they hope to bridge the divide and truly build a future based on something more solid than superficial agreement, aspiring for lasting happiness. Finally, the moment arrived for the three individuals to truly converge and find their shared ground. They sat down together, the room no longer stifling with accusation, but imbued with a fragile, hopeful quiet, fostering an environment of mutual vulnerability. The protagonist's mother, her gaze softened by an evident understanding and the profound wisdom gained from the ordeal, voiced her lingering concerns. These were articulated not as criticisms, but as sincere desires for her daughter's lasting stability and deep joy, reflecting her unwavering maternal love. Her fiancé, having diligently spent the preceding days demonstrating his sincere transformation and newfound maturity, listened with a palpable humility. He openly acknowledged the full validity of her mother's past worries regarding his financial missteps and broken promises, accepting profound responsibility for any distress caused. He then meticulously presented a concrete, actionable plan for his financial health and future accountability, vividly illustrating his unwavering dedication to building true wealth, a life rich in integrity, trust, and shared purpose, beyond mere monetary gain. A powerful, transformative shift then unfolded as this renewed open communication finally paved the way for profound forgiveness. This was not an abrupt, performative declaration, but a gradual, heartfelt blossoming of mutual understanding that transcended the immediate conflict. The mother, observing the genuine remorse and tangible proof of her future son-in-law's dedication to a reformed life, extended her forgiveness, embracing his earnest efforts towards redemption and the painful lessons he had clearly absorbed. In turn, her fiancé expressed his sincere understanding for her mother's desperate outburst, recognizing it as an act born of fierce, protective love and deep concern, rather than malice or judgment. The protagonist, witnessing this delicate emotional exchange, felt her own heart open fully, allowing herself to forgive the past deceptions and fully embracing the complex tapestry of their intentions and vulnerabilities. This collective act of releasing past grievances laid a solid, new foundation for their relationship. A deeper, more mature understanding settled, an unwavering acknowledgement that their future absolutely required radical transparency and an unshakable commitment to their well-being and enduring happiness. This pivotal moment born from crisis cemented their resolve to cultivate a life brimming with genuine happiness, true wealth and shared trust and boundless joy, all guided by the wisdom gleaned from their challenging ordeal. The raw honesty that had emerged from those agonizingly difficult conversations surprisingly laid an entirely new and robust groundwork for their future. With the painful truths finally aired, understood, and an unwavering commitment to transparency firmly established, the path forward for the wedding, once completely overshadowed by doubt and uncertainty, now gleamed with a quiet yet powerful renewed promise. It was not the perfectly idyllic, untroubled beginning they had initially envisioned for their journey into married life, but it was undeniably a far more authentic and stronger one. The unexpected chaos that had erupted on what was meant to be their most joyous day had, against all odds, transformed into an unforeseen catalyst for profound personal growth, not just for the couple, but for their family as a whole. The lessons they had collectively learned from that tumultuous period were truly invaluable, imbuing their relationship with a unique depth and a kind of inner wealth that any superficial happiness could never hope to achieve. They now possessed a crystal-clear understanding of the paramount importance of open, unflinching communication, a vital skill they had diligently honed through those very agonizing and often tearful discussions. Resilience, once merely an abstract concept discussed in self-help books, had now become a live, tangible reality, a powerful testament to their inherent ability to bend significantly without completely breaking under immense, crushing pressure. The unwavering support and unconditional love of family, particularly the calm and incredibly wise counsel offered by the aunt, had proven to be an indispensable lifeline throughout the ordeal, demonstrating emphatically that true wealth in life lay not primarily in fleeting material possessions or grand public displays, but fundamentally in the enduring strength and unwavering reliability of human connections and familial bonds. The journey towards their married life was no longer solely about the ephemeral celebration of a single, perfect day, but rather about a conscious, daily commitment to building a lifetime together, meticulously constructed brick by brick on the solid foundations of trust, genuine forgiveness, and profound mutual understanding. A quiet yet profound sense of joy now permeated all their resumed preparations, a deeper, far more mature joy than the innocent excitement they had felt before the truth had emerged. They moved forward together hand in hand with a newfound wisdom, understanding implicitly that challenges, no matter how daunting they appeared, were not insurmountable roadblocks meant to halt their progress, but rather invaluable opportunities for personal growth, for deeper introspection, and for forging an even more profound connection with one another. This entire unexpected, chaotic, and incredibly challenging twist in their wedding story had, in the end, magnificently fortified their bond, unequivocally proving that even the most uncomfortable, inconvenient truths could ultimately lead to a future filled with genuine, lasting happiness and an enduring, unbreakable partnership.